Welcome to UC Collaboration, a global name in unified communication, formerly Voice Bootcamp. Hello, my name is Faisal Khan, CEO and founder of UC Collaboration. In this particular video, I'm going to focus on the UCCX, Cisco Unified Contact Center Express integration with Call Manager. The Contact Center Express is divided into three primary functions. It is designed to provide interactive voice response, IVR, which provides information such as recorded message, spoken text over telephone line in response to caller input, or using a DTMF signaling. Then you have ACD, Automatic Call Distributor. When a call comes into a call center, Contact Center Express route the call to the next available agent and qualified agent based on the availability. And the third part is called the CTI, or Computer Telephony Integration. The purpose of the CTI is to pass data from your backend database to the agent's desktop application. Is like, for example, the use of caller ID to retrieve customer information automatically from a database and then display it on that information on the agent desktop. Now, to go more deeper into these functionalities, all these three different functions are divided into basic and advanced features. In a basic, if you were to purchase the IVR, you will get a prompt and collect capabilities and using a DTMF signals. It allows you to do call control, such as accept a call, terminate a call, transfer a call, or even place a call. It does so basic document processing of holidays from an XML database. Now, if you purchase an advanced feature or license, then you have a database integration where IVR can use any Cisco supported ODBC compliant SQL databases and then pull information and read information out of the database. It can also initiate an HTTP trigger for callback request, email routing, application starts, etc. It also has a capability to do email generation to send confirmation or even request an attachment. It supports voice XML for advanced speech application. Support of Java is included. It also have a media recording control protocol, or MRCP, for ASR and TTS services to work properly. ACD basic function can provide call routing and queuing, provide Cisco agent desktop capability, which allows the agent to log in using a special software, and then provide call center support to their client. If you do not want to use agent desktop software, then you can use agent phone as an agent capability to receive a call from a client. Of course, agent phone, IP phone agent is not the same as CAD, as CAD can provide more advanced integration with your backend application. Every call center has supervisors, and supervisor's job is to monitor the call center, its capacity, its agent, to see if they are working properly or if they are running out of resources or how many calls are being failed, and so on. A supervisor can use the Cisco Supervisor desktop to control that. Basic functionality also provide historical reporting and real-time reporting. Reporting is a big part of contact center that gives you a picture of how your contact center, the health of your contact center for that matter. Then you have the advanced. Now, in advanced, agent skill and competency routing can provide skills-based or competency routing, prioritized queuing, work mode after call work, wrap-up timer and code, agent-based routing, which is a premium license, and allows you to do remote silent monitoring of an agent and contact service queue. Advanced function of the ACD, or advanced function of Cisco agent desktop. For example, it can be integrated with a different application, provides workflow buttons and shortcuts, and it can do on-demand call recording. Whereas the supervisory desktop is a silent monitoring of an agent calls, allows the supervisor to barge in an agent call and join the conversation, or even allow the supervisor to intercept a call, transfer the agent call to supervisor, and do a callback recording and a playback if needed. So this application will provide much more greater functionality on day-to-day management of the agents. CTI basic functions can provide access to enterprise data window on the agent desktop, which is customizable. Display pop-up data required for each call, such as ANI, DNI's information, caller input, details on the call progress, IVR time, time with other agent, and queue wait time. All this information will be displayed. With advanced functionality, CTI can work with workflow, which allows data to be passed to other applications such as CRM, Outlook, HTTP-based software, and so on. Data can also be passed to application with a key, accept keystroke macros, as well as acquired data from XML data sources. Now the licensing option is divided into standard, enhanced, and premium, and different license will get you different feature set. For example, in a standard, you get from a CD perspective, you get a simple group, conditional routing, skills-based competency group, standard templates, and historical reporting. With enhanced, you get everything from standard, but you get more enhanced template and customized reporting. But the premium gives you more information, more features. For example, priority queuing, data-driven prioritized routing, enterprise DVMS, database access, template, and so on. Whereas a desktop, for example, gives you a standard IP phone agent, but no desktop-based application, which is the CAD. However, a standard supervisor desktop is allowed, so the supervisor can continue to monitor the agent, and so on. So all these features are included in a different features are included in a different licensing. So this is an example of what CTI and IVR and multi-channel features are available depending on a license. Now, licensing itself is a very complex topic. Like I said, licensing can be itself a boot camp. So here's an example of a call flow. I'm going to walk you through a call flow between Contact Center Express and Call Manager. First of all, Contact Center Express, when you deploy it as a agent-based solution, it is 100% dependent on Call Manager. That means in order to deploy Contact Center Express, you must have Call Manager or Call Manager Express. Now, the communication between these two devices take place over a protocol called JTAPI. Now, by default, Contact Center Express does not have an admin account for day-to-day administration. One of the first things we do is we go to Call Manager and create a normal user account, while we will use that account for day-to-day administration. Once that part is done, we will log into the Contact Center Express using a setup account such as Administrator and Voice Bootcamp. Initially, the Contact Center Express will walk us through a series of setups, and during the setups, what we're going to do, we're going to define our JTAPI provider. JTAPI provider. Now, Contact Center Express has two main components that are very important to us: JTAPI provider and RMCM provider. In both cases, the provider is the call manager, because JTAPI is responsible for signaling communication between these two devices. RMCM is responsible for managing the agent phones. So in a JTAPI provider, you will point to the IP address of the call manager. You define a username. Now, during the setup, Contact Center Express will go to call manager and create a username, and that username will become your JTAPI application user, which will control the communication between these two devices. So let's quickly go through that. Under user management, I'm going to create an end user. I will call this UCCX admin. Call it a password, Cisco, forget Cisco, let's call it a voice bootcamp, call it a voice bootcamp. Let's save it. A normal user account, nothing complex about it. So we define that, then we log into the Contact Center Express server for the first time, and that is under, we log into Contact Center Express server. You click on the Contact Center Express name. So here we're going to use the installation account or the setup account that we defined during the installation of the contact center. It's going to ask you if I want to save it. I'm going to say no, and it gives you option to do a fresh or an upgrade. So obviously we're going to do fresh installation, but let me go through the setup before we continue on the website of it. So during this setup right here, the process of wizard that I'm going to go through, what I'm going to do, I'm going to define who is the IP address of the JTAP provider and what username, application username I'm going to create to maintain this communication. So during the setup, I'm going to define two usernames. One is called JTAP user, one is called RMCM user. JTAP users is going to be responsible for monitoring and controlling the communication between these two devices. RMCM user, on the other hand, is going to be used to monitor the agent phone. Because hey, contact center needs to know which phone out of 5,000 phone in your organization, which are the agent phone, and B, whether they are being used or they are available or they are not, so the health of those agents. So we must define that. So once the initial phase is set up, the next step is to define how many simultaneous port am I going to create. So that will depend on your license and how many simultaneous calls do you want. This 3 port that we are creating is called call control group. From a contact center perspective, they are known as call control group. And then each call control group must have a unique directory number. Remember, earlier I said that everything is invocable using a directory number, application, users, phone. Well, every one of these extensions is going to have a directory number. We set up this call control group from the contact center, but reality, what the contact center does, it logs into call manager and creates 3 CTI port equivalent with the same directory number, and then associate this 3 CTI port with this user account called JTAP because he's going to control those port communication. So that's the first thing happens. Then you need to define how many channel you are simultaneous RTP session you want to have. That will be depend on Cisco media. Once you define this, your next step is to tell the RMCM that out of all in the entire organization, which phone are going to be our agent phone. So we select the phone and we associate those phone to the RMCM users. Then we need to create agent account, A1 and A2. Every agent must have a user account of his own or individual. And then we associate the agent to their respective phones so that whichever phone they're going to use to log in. Now, when you associate the agent to the phone, we must also associate what is going to be the IPCC extension or UCCX extension. See, typically in a contact center, an agent should have one extension for his or her private call, making like a personal call, even 911 call emergency, and then second extension to receive calls from the queue, from the customer. So you select the second extension or whichever extension you really want, doesn't matter, as an IPCC extension. As soon as you select that agent, the IPCC extension, what really happens is that A1, the username, will be imported directly into Contact Center Express as an agent. So that's basically what it really does. Because remember, in your organization, you could have 5,000 accounts from your Active Directory. But doesn't mean that all 5,000 accounts are agent. You only select those agent and associate to their respective phone and designate them as an agent by associating the IPCC extension. Then we create a resource group or skills. Contact Center Express can route calls based on skills group or resource group. We're going to stick to resource group as a being very basic way of routing calls. You can create a group called sales and support and put some agent in sales group, some agent in support group, totally up to you. Once the agent resource group is created, then we're going to create a contact service queue. Contact service queue is the queue where the call will be held. And every resource, and it must be pointed to a resource group who's responsible for providing support. Now, in order to call this queue, we must associate the queue name to a script. This is the script that you or I will write to execute our call center call. Now, the script is a programmable. It's a programming basically. So you need to kind of think of your imagination of what you want to do with your program. But at some point in the script, the call will be sent to the queue. The queue will then send the calls to resource group, which will send the calls to available agent who are logged in. Now, how do I call the script? I associate the script by creating an application in Contact Center Express. In Contact Center Express, to invoke a script, we must create an application. So think about applications like a profiling. But then how do I call the application? How do I invoke the application itself? By creating a trigger. We're going to create a JTAPI trigger with the number 3500 or any number you want. And when you create a trigger, every trigger is associated with one particular application. Now, an application could have multiple triggers, but the trigger itself can only point to one application. When you create this trigger, it goes to call manager and creates a CTI route point, and with the same number 3500. Now, at this stage, what happened is this CTI route point will be associated with the same username called JTAPI. Remember the CTI ports? Why? Because JTAPI is responsible for the communication. Now, CTI route point 3500 becomes your call center number, or your help desk number, or your customer support number. This is the number the user will dial. Now you can map your 800 number to this number. You can map your local help desk number to this number. Totally up to you. So this is the call flow that's taking place. When a user calls 3500, the call manager will forward the call over these CTI ports to the contact center. Contact center looks at the number 3500, realize it is a trigger, and that trigger is open to this associated with this application. So it's going to invoke the application. Application is pointing to a script. It's going to open the script. That's when you're going to hear the message saying, "Welcome to Voice Bootcamp. Press 1 for sales, 2 for support." Assume you press 1 for sales. Sales will be pointed to a sales queue, and the sales queue will be pointed to a resource group called sales, where an agent might be logged in. As soon as they are available, the call goes to the agent. If they're not available, the call remains in the queue for X number of minutes. So that's the call flow about contact center call flow. So to integrate that, we follow all this setup. So of course, we first create a user account called UCCX admin. You can choose any name you want. Then we log into the system as administrator. Password, this is the old password. You could choose whatever password you have selected. And we're going to create we're going to run through an initial setup. So the first thing we're going to do is do a fresh installation. So first step, we log in using this address, define new or upgrade. So we're going to select fresh install. In the fresh install, the first thing is going to ask you for username and password of your call manager, or AXL username and password of the call manager. Here you define the IP address of your call manager and select an admin account that has AXL privileges. Now for lab purposes, we use the administrator account. So we're going to select the IP address of our call manager and the username and the password of the call manager as well. This will be used to authenticate in the call manager server. Next step is to define license. So we're going to select our license file. So from the browser, we're going to select document, demo license, and let's say we're going to select the PRE, demo, premium license. Click next. Now after selecting the license, we move into the next screen where to activate all the components. Now these components that you see will depend on the license that you apply. You may not have some of these components in your license if you selected enhanced or premium, standard. So if you select premium, you might see all the license and then component that you need that's going to activate automatically. So now I'll click next to continue after the license has been validated. So in the next screen, it will activate all the components, and it takes some time to activate those components, so be patient. Now once the component, there is some publisher activation that needs to be done, so again it will be done automatically. You click on next. Once that is done, this is where you define the JTAPI information, such as the JTAPI servers, both call manager, pub, and sub. What username should I be creating for JTAPI? what should be the RMCM provider, which is the publisher and subscriber's IP address, and the username that I'm going to create for RMCM. And this is of course again the call manager IP addresses that you have for primary and secondary. So we will select all these items once our activation is completed. Now one of the next thing you need to do is define the codec. What codec you want to support, how many historical reporting session license we have. So obviously we're going to select the default codec to be G711. You can choose the language depending on which country you're deploying it, and what should be the language for your CAD system. All these must be selected. And the last stage is to define the username that are imported from call manager, such as the UCCX admin, and this is the username that's going to be the new administrator for your contact center express. Once you're done, you log out, log back in to the system, and next thing we're going to do is start customizing all our JTAPI related settings. So here we're going to activate the publisher component. So click next. We're going to select our JTAPI. The username is going to be JTAPI, and define the password, and then the RMCM, and then define the password as well. So RMCM user, the password. Then click next. So here we're going to select the codec, by default G711, so we'll continue to use that. We'll select the US as our default language. CAD and the CSD will also use English. It's going to give you warning saying that, please download and run the desktop client configuration tool after the setup is completed. So now we'll select the user account that will be acting as the administrator, UCCX admin, and then click on finish. So now we can log out and log back in using the new account. Alright, so now that we're logged in, so next step is to create this number of CTI call control group. So we'll do that by going to subsystem menu, select Cisco Unified Telephone and call control group. But before we do that, let's take a look at quickly what has been set up by the system. So if we log into our call manager, so if I look at under user management, application user, I should see two new user account created. One is called JTAPI based on what we provided, and one is called RM. Now what we're going to do, we're going to select the RM user and associate the RM user to the agent phone. So we will select, let's see which one our agent phone. 3003 directory number. I'll select this to be an agent phone. Hopefully that will work. Save, and once that is done, I will take a look at JTAPI. JTAPI is not associated with anything right now. So those are the two accounts that is created. So next thing is to associate create a call control group in UCCX. So here we'll go to subsystem. You notice is how you're not able to get any menu. That is a browser compatibility issue. So we must add this to our browser compatibility list. Okay, so you just have to open an application again. So subsystem is Cisco Unified CM telephony call control group. Add new call control group. It shows you how you have 50 port license, 25 IVR, outbound IVR, and then 50 IVR port. So we'll call this, let's say, I don't know, help desk. Number of ports 3. Media termination point supported. We don't need that right now. Device prefix CCX. Starting number, let's say 3201. HQ site, location, HQ, partitions not required at this stage. Simply click on add. Is supposed to open up a pop-up window. So if you have a pop-up block, you might not see it. So let's see what happened. Here is telling you that in progress, created CTI ports. While it is in progress, we can go to call manager, and under device go to phone, clear the filter, I should start to see my CCX port right there. See, 3201, 3202, 3203. So this has been created for 3 ports. Next step is, so we have just done this part. So next step is to configure the RMCM user, which we already did. Associate the agent to that RMCM user. Then we're going to define the resource skills group, CS context service queue. We're going to assign the context service queue to the group, create an application, assign the application to the script, and then create a trigger. So first thing, going back to call manager, we have already associated the application user RM to the respective phone. So let me double check one thing, just make sure device configuration looks good. So we're going to use this phone as an agent phone, so hopefully this will work. Next step is to create an end user account, which is going to be what we call is an agent account. So let's call this agent, we'll call it FCON, why not? So we already have a username called FCON. We're going to associate FCON, called device association, to the IP communicator phone. Let's call this 3003. We're going to associate this phone. So every agent has to be associated with his or her respective phones that they're going to use to day-to-day log in. So once you associate the user to the phone, remember how I said that it must select the IPCC extension. Oops. So we select the username, device association to the respective phone, and select the IPCC extension. This is right here. We're going to say 3003 is IPCC extension, and then save. As soon as I did that, I go back to contact center. I should see under subsystem RMCM resource, I should see my name right there. So subsystem RM resource, well, let's see, make sure. So here's our name, Faisal Khan, extension, and it's been imported. Now we're going to create a resource group that is going to be a sales group. So under subsystem, go to RMCM, go to resource group. Let's call this sales group. Upon creating a sales group, we're going to associate the sales group. We're going to create two skills. You can route a calls based on sales and skills are product based. So you can have certain competency level based on skills or based on the product. We're going to keep it very simple just to show you. In the next slide, I'm going to show you more advanced features of contact centers. But for now, just simple, we're going to create skills called CCIE, collaboration. And I am the expert in that. Alright, so once that part is done, we're going to associate the resource to the group and the skill set. So go to subsystem, RMCM, go to resource, select the user, and we're going to say that Faisal Khan belongs to sales group, and he has I'm going to give myself 10 most skills. Well, you gotta select the agent, select 10, and drag it right here. So now I have a competency level of 10 for skills called CCIE collaboration. Once this part is done, next thing is to create a contact service queue, the queue, which is the place where the call will be held. Subsystem, RMCM, contact service queue. We're going to call this queue, let's say a simple name, sales. It's going to be voice. We're going to enable it. Wrap up time, let's say 120 seconds. Give yourself 120 seconds before you start receiving next call. We're going to route the call based on group. Select the algorithm. So if you have multiple agent, then you can say longest available agent, or you can choose linear, circular, most handle, so and so. Again, all these features will be discussed in the subsequent chapter. Sales group, show resource, and I should see my name there. Add. So I have created a sales queue. Next step, create an application where we define the script and the queue name. Under application menu, select add new, Cisco script application, and then we're going to call this help desk. Number of session 3. The script we're going to select ICD for now, and then CSQ will be the name of the sales queue, which is sales. So simply click on add, and this is a case sensitive, by the way. Okay, now the application is created. Next step is to create the trigger, which is going to associate with the application. So we're going to say add new trigger. Click JTAPI trigger or HTTP, so going to be JTAPI. Next. Let's call this trigger 3000. Device name, help desk, description, whatever the description you want, help desk, call center, call control group that we created earlier, and then click on add. Now that JTAPI trigger is created, if I go back to call manager, device, CTI route point, I should see my JTAPI call control device created with extension 3000, has a registered with the contact center IP address. Now one thing keep in mind, remember the call control group that we created? Well, call control group is a signaling port, so it's important that the call control group has the proper settings. All of our agent phones belongs to internal partition, So if we don't select the partition properly, that might cause problem. So here you have a DN calling search space. We must make sure that we choose internal partition in there. So we'll select HQ device, which has the internal partition to all those CTI ports. Alright, so now that is done, next step is to create an IP phone service so that the phone can log in. We're going to create a device menu, device settings, click on phone service, and associate that phone, create a service name called IPCC login. This is the URL which you can find on Cisco CAD documentation. I will show you the URL in full. This is the URL that you need to either memorize or copy it from Google or even from Cisco CAD, I think the desktop product suite documentation. Anyway, this is the URL we're going to apply to the IP communicator phone. So go to device, IP phone service. We're going to create an add new. Copy this URL. Let's call this IPCC login. This is the URL. Enable. If I do enterprise, it's going to apply to all the phone. So I don't want to do the enterprise right now. So save. Now I'm going to go to the IP communicator. Which is site B. And in the IP communicator, we're going to go to write related link and then select subscribe unsubscribe services. Select IPCC login. Next, subscribe, and you're done. Alright, so hopefully at this stage, if I have my IP phone registered, so let's see if it's going to work. So to verify, you can make sure that all the triggers are registered, that all the CTI ports are registered. If you get a fast busy, then check for codec mismatch, restart, and all these features. So again, those I'll leave it for troubleshooting, but for now I'm just going to create a very simple call from site. So let's try from this phone.
Thank you for calling. All of our representatives are assisting other callers at this time. Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line and your call will be handled in the order it was received.
So what we're going to do from the IP communicator, let's see if we can log in as an agent. My username fcon, password voice bootcamp, extension 3003. If I click on submit,
all of our representatives are assisting other callers at this time. Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line and your call will be handled in the order it was received.
There's one call in the queue, but I'm not ready to take the call yet. If I click on state, and I say go to ready mode, I select 1, voila, call comes to me. So that's how you set up a basic call center. Alright, so this is basically it for the integration of Contact Center Express. The next subject and module, we're going to focus on the scripting part of it and various scenarios. So I strongly recommend that you go through these integrations a couple of times. Make sure you understand every single components and what they are doing, and watch it as many times as possible, and I will see you in the next video.